Hey, this is Chelsea Dupre, host of CJ and Sal. Thanks for listening to the following podcast on Public House Media.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Josh Powers.
And I am John Moore.
And we're the hosts of The Cheap Seats, brought to you by Public House Media each and every Tuesday. We're here to talk sports.
And anything else you can think of that has to do with sports. Bottom line is, we are your conduit. We are fans just like you. We're talking about the stuff that we know that you're talking about around the water cooler.
Once you've finished listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media, we hope you'll come and check out our show, The Cheap Seats, every Tuesday on all of your favorite podcast platforms. You'll find us way up here in The Cheap Seats.
It's No Filter Friday on Public House Media, and we are going to go over some scandalous things going on in the Hollyweird, which is basically, the epicenter of scandalous things. It's like our gross domestic product around here in this ratchet town. I'm going to take a minute to share the show. Hello, David Bobke. Thank you for waiting for me. You're the best. Facebook required that I reinstall Chrome, and it took me forever and a day because it said that I couldn't use any other browser to go live, which is crazy. Sound is good, and I've got my popcorn. Man, give me some. David Bobke, can you just move in with me? Can you just move in with me and do the things for the show and make us snacks? Is that something that you could you do that, please? That'd be so wonderful. Oh my god. On a page you manage. Oh, that's right. It won't let me share it from here anymore. I have to share it from my phone. All right, let me share this from my phone real fast. I feel like hot garbage. Like that just fell out of the can and the guys drove away. That's what I feel like right now. In case you were wondering. I feel worse now than when I lost my voice. So I didn't actually feel bad then. I just didn't have a voice, which is problematic when you have a live show / podcast. Kind of, you got to be able, or I don't know, you're producing and directing a multicam show and you have tons of people you got to yell at. Problem. Absolute problem. Animals, this is not the time. So many nuggets. So many nuggets. Let me see if I can get this to share. If not, we will abandon sharing efforts. So, a ton of things happened over the last week. Harvey Weinstein's lawyer put out this statement saying that his life has been ruined by these Me Too allegations and how the trial is crippling him and this, that, and thing, to which we collectively said, yeah, no one cares. So in the spirit of no one caring about Harvey Weinstein's feelings, we're also not going to care about them on the show because why? Why would we even, you know what? I should get another No Filter Friday mug because I have my brass knuckles one, and we should just put Harvey Weinstein's tears on it, and that will be the No Filter Friday mug. Because honestly, who cares? No one cares that poor Harvey Weinstein's life has been quote unquote ruined because he chose to force himself on the overwhelming majority of Hollywood. And honestly too, he should thank his lucky stars that old Bob hasn't been implicated in this situation too, that Bob is still walking free among us. Although he's probably sequestered away in one of his houses or something. I don't think he's walking about town. I certainly haven't heard anybody that's seen it. But tomorrow, I've mentioned this before, tomorrow is my producer conference. I go to 2 producer conferences every year. 2 of them that I love and adore, and they're so much fun and they're amazing. And a guy that's always there got his start as being Bob Weinstein's assistant. And as soon as the news about Harvey broke, because it was like around this time of year, those conferences happen at like the same time every year. As soon as this story broke, but it was before I started doing the show because we had maybe a 3-week lag. It was, of course it was the talk of this producer conference, and watching Bob Weinstein's old assistant like retreat into the verbal bushes like the Homer Simpson gif is A, fun, and B, it's fun to watch. Clearly it's not fun for this dude, but we'll see what he has to say tomorrow about Harvey's life being quote unquote ruined. We'll see. We will see. So maybe I'll give an update on that on my page, maybe tomorrow or Sunday after I've, put my thoughts together. But what we really need to talk about is, if you just came into the show, can you send a comment or something so I know who you are? Because I can see the little eyeball count up here, but I can't tell who anybody is except for David Bodke, who I love and adore, but he shouldn't be alone. So besides that, drop a comment. That's why I do the show live. Otherwise I could just, make a video of the show and then post it at my leisure and not get out of bed and not put on this robe and not have to crack open. Well, I would have cracked open the report regardless, but you get the idea. You understand. So the super huge news of the week is that Ed Buck finally got arrested, and he is going before the judge in his little suicide prevention outfit. Hyper stylist, but we'll get back to him momentarily because that's not 100% on brand for the show, but we got to talk about it anyway because it all connects. But what we have to talk about is Kevin Spacey's accuser is magically dead. Middle-aged man, magically dead, and at the height of Kevin Spacey's trial. Roger, you funny. Roger says, isn't a stein a mug with a lid, so a Weinstein? Yes. And you really, everybody that knows me knows that I love a play on words, and you're right, Roger. You're right, is a Weinstein for tears. For Harvey's tears. That's exactly what it's for. Oh, now I gotta make one. I'm gonna have to commission a piece on Etsy because I don't know that I can make a stein, but I can try. I can give it a go. Or maybe it's just a removable leg. We're gonna work on this, Roger. We're 100,000% gonna work on this. You've just made my day. And it's Friday, maybe even my week. We'll see. So at the height of Kevin Spacey's sexual misconduct, sexual assault trial, one of his accusers, I thought of it immediately, didn't want to interrupt you. Oh, you were so sweet. Is magically dead. So apparently, up in the Malibu Tay, there is a very nice massage place. Obviously, it's Malibu. And Kevin Spacey would go in there, and this one particular male massage therapist, who I guess everybody really liked, at first he grabbed him by his junk, and then apparently he tried to kiss him, and this guy's like, no, and then 2 or 3 times during the massage, Kevin Spacey, I guess, took this guy's hand and put it over Kevin Spacey's junk. And then the guy ran out, was like, I can't with you. And I guess it's well documented behavior that Kevin Spacey would do this at this massage place or like other massage places. That he, would just assume that people were down to get grabbed and jerk him off and all of this other craziness. And I guess it's like one of these like heterosexual tropes of like, oh, that's what guys go to massages for, but that's not really the case. And you should not assume that somebody's okay for you to just flibble gibbles. That's not okay. No random flibbling of gibbles. That's not all right. So apparently Kevin Spacey is still, like, the trial is still going on. It's going to keep going on because he's only one of the accusers. But the lawyers for them are being, oh, hello, Alexa, thanks for coming in, are being hyper lackadaisical on spreading the word, publicly or for the court. They said that they were going to update the court in the future at some point. They're like, I'm sorry, expediency, any sense of urgency whatsoever to give the details on the plaintiff's death during the trial this is crazy. Like, oh yeah, we'll send over the details at some point in the future. The future is now. Send the details now. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. And with the Jeff Epstein death, like, I guess, we all saw that death. We all saw that coming. And when I did that show, because it was nuts, we talked about how, it's not the 90s anymore, and it's not, like, people are collectively being like, no, I'm not just going to be force-fed these lies, these bold-faced lies, and everybody could agree that there's no way on earth that Jeff Epstein magically killed himself this time around. Nobody has time for this nonsense. So, are we supposed to believe that this middle-aged massage man who lives in Malibu just magically died of natural causes? That he just pulled a Nate dog and his family found him in his 40s face down in his own bedroom? Like, is that, and the thing is too, is like that's what happened to Nate Dogg. That's not what happened to this guy. And furthermore, they haven't released any details on what happened to this guy. So where's that investigation? Or does no one care because House of Cards is like so good? I don't care about House of Cards. I never have, and I'm not going to start. Like, it's not that serious. Everybody, I know we have things like Comic-Con and like everybody's like, oh my God, but this movie or this TV show, it's not that serious. And nobody should be, like, labor-wise, none of us should be like breaking necks over it. And nobody should be, willing to overlook whatever, like, real actual problems over playing pretend. And I love this business. Like, I've dedicated my whole life to it. And every single life choice that I make from the time that I get up, from the time that I go to bed, and even when I'm sleeping, has to do with this industry. Ask my friend. This is my brain's dedication to this business. So my friend works for this company in Detroit, and they're like, revamping their marketing. And we were talking about while I was in Detroit at the Chi-Town Festival this weekend, and I got up in the middle of the night at 4 a.m. to pee, and I was like, you know what? Because I've been working on like a commercial, like, in my mind for them for a hot second. When I was in Detroit, I like saw their stuff and things like that. I was like, oh, we could do this and we could do that. We could do this. We could do that. And in my sleep, in my mind, I worked out like a billboard strategy for them that would be like effective. And I DM'd it to her on Instagram at 4 a.m. my time. She was awake, luckily, to receive this lunacy. But even when I'm sleeping, These are the things that my brain is like chewing on. Is, oh, we could shoot it like this. And there could be smoke. And this could be this. And it would look like this, but not as crisp and filmy. It'd be like, and not as crisp and digital. It'd be more filmy. Those are the things that I quite literally eat, sleep, and breathe for. And I can still say with impunity that none of it is worth all of this. Somebody dying because they accuse Kevin Spacey of doing what he did. And we've all known as a town of what he's been doing. Touching on little boys, having them ordered to parties, and having this overwhelming sense of entitlement that he's some sort of a god because he plays pretend on a Netflix show. Whoop-de-doo. Like, it's cool or whatever, but it's not that cool. It's not kill somebody that's accusing you of being a sexual assaulter cool. It's just not. It's absolutely just not. And like, it's not worth even having to think about Harvey Weinstein's trash dick. No, thank you. No, thank you. Which is how we end up with this Brutus and Caesar situation. Everybody hated him, and Bob, for that matter. Bob's always left out of the conversation. Really, he shouldn't be. They were gigantic dicks to everybody. Like, they made it a point to be this yelling, screaming, sweating, red face monster. And over what? Over what? Some movies. Big deal. Ugh. And, this whole town acts like we're out here like, oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. It's like working on a chain gang. We work so hard. We're out here busting up rocks. Stop. We eat all day, all day and all night. And, it's not without its, it's labor, for sure. Like, I'm not discounting that, but like, there are worse jobs to have. It's okay. We're not out here, and occasionally do kill people. Remember the Slates for Sarah scandal? There's been several people that have died on sets for literally no reason. It's so not worth it. It's so not worth it. There's plenty, like, we'll all live like to see another day without, this movie or this TV show or this video game or whatever. Like, it's okay. It's fine. We don't need to be doing all this. So with that being said, we'll keep an eye on this Kevin Spacey thing, but his trial is still going. Still going. He's still going to be held accountable for these things, regardless as if these, even if they kill off his plaintiffs one by one, the trial's still going to go. And I don't want to put that kind of juju on them because more of them probably will die because that's what happens. And they're being so brazen about it. What's my point with the Epstein thing? They're so brazen about it. And they're like, and it's just a warning, just like his little Let Me Be Frank video with his little royal family cup and his little ring on and his apron and all this, like, so massively entitled, gigantic ego. If I'm going down, the rest of you are going down with me. Like, okay, fine, then take everybody else with you. No one cares. There's plenty of other people to do these jobs that can manage to not sexually assault or rape people, adults or children for that matter. Like, it's really not that difficult to not rape anybody. I don't know why it's such a sticking point in this town. I feel like every other day, because it is the pedo apocalypse, like, they're all going down. So of course every other day I'm posting something about it, but the overwhelming question about all of these things is like, oh my God, why are all these people raping children? Like, what is the appeal? What is wrong with you? And the long story short there is that we're long overdue for this, purge of these sick deviants. But it's a strange fetish, and it has to do with like people's inability to give consent. And that they're getting off on the power, because rape has very little to do with sex, and it has mostly to do with power. a conversation that I had in the production office the other day was, especially when this Weinstein story like broke to the public. Although it's common knowledge, the man was convicted of it in 2005. But like the resurfacing of the story, I suppose, like, oh well, these girls are 16, or oh well, you were 17, and I told you with, as soon as we talked about this, is that was just the drip feed, that those girls and little boys are going to get younger and younger and younger and younger and younger in the media as this drags out. And it's like, well, and the big thing was like, well, if they're 16, or well, if they're 17, or, what if they're 17 and their birthday's in 2 weeks, and blah, 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 blah. It's not about that. It's about their inability to give consent. That's what these people get off on, and a few other things. But that's like the main, like in a broad, generally speaking, that's what these people give out on, is they have these minors, these children, in a compromised position, and that they don't have the ability to give them consent. They do not have the capacity to be a willing participant in these things. And that's what they get off on, because there's no other reason to seek out. It's about the power. You don't really have that much power over an autonomous adult. But you can do these sick, warped, twisted things to people who cannot give consent. Which brings me to the Ed Buck situation. This week, the third black man was found dead in Ed Buck's house in West Hollywood. Right over here. Right through that window. Which means and he got arrested, finally. But there has been 2 others found dead in his house over the years, in addition to other dead black men found near him that weren't necessarily at his house. So, because it's the pedo apocalypse, and we're taking down, we're having a major purge of sexual deviants. Thank God, praise Jesus. The media keeps saying, like, he's been charged with administering drugs and running a drug house and something like involuntary manslaughter or something like that. But that's kind of neither here nor there, what he's actually being charged with. What is going on with his hair? That is enough of that. Give you a fresh blowout yesterday, and this is how you treat me? Oh, ridiculous. But that's not what it's about. The media keeps saying that he was running a drug house, which isn't unnecessarily true, because these black men that are found dead in his home over and over and over are all addicted to something. But as my friend Ralph from the Scorpions will tell you, that it is more likely than not just a drug den. He's probably having snuff parties, and they're probably killing these dudes and other people. These are just the bodies that we found. Who's to say that there's not more? Because I would bet you money that there is. And if you don't know what a snuff party is, it's where a bunch of elitist people get together and they kill somebody, and that's the entertainment for their party. Instead of booking a band or a magician, they get together and they kill somebody. And it's usually somebody who won't be missed. A crackhead off the street seems to be Ed Buck's favorite kind, or a lady who's a sex slave, or children that have been siphoned out of the foster care system, or they've been siphoned away from a place like Haiti that has been through a natural disaster or an economic disaster, like a kid that doesn't have parents or doesn't have anybody that's gonna keep track of their well-being. So this Ed Buck thing, we're gonna get more information on it. We're gonna see where his little trial goes, and if anything ends up sticking. And I'm sure it will, because we're living in an era where all of these arrests and trials are taking place. But I would love to know where Black Lives Matter are on Ed Buck. Love to know, considering all these black men seem to be dropping like flies in his home or around him as a human being, but we don't hear about that. We only hear about other things. But somehow Ed Buck and his little bow ties have managed to stay out of the fold somehow. Weird, right? So strange when you keep company like Ed Buck does, or like Harvey Weinstein does, or like Kevin Spacey does, or any of these other yahoos. But somehow magically, nobody even raises an eyebrow, let alone is like, hey, that's kind of messed up that you constantly have people dying at your house. It's not even that great of a house. You know what? I should drive by this week and we'll take some pictures. We'll do some snooping because why not at this point? Why not? But anyway, that's the current death toll for the hashtag MeToo movement that we know about, that the mainstream media is like actually reporting on. Because it's another hard thing that I have with this show is that, like, if I talk about something that's common knowledge around town, everybody's like, it's a conspiracy theory. It's like, no, it's not a conspiracy theory. Everybody knows this, but they just all live in this, you know, raggedy cesspool of filth. So I have to kind of wait till things come out in the media before we really start talking about it, because for whatever reason, enough of our population has drank in the Kool-Aid that, you know, the mainstream media is actually like useful or telling the truth or any of that nonsense. So as you can tell, I'm in a nasty mood tonight. And I will see you all next week for another gross, icky rundown of the Me Too situation and this disgusting, filthy town. So share the show because we all need to talk about these things, unfortunately. The guys that have died at the hands of Ed Buck need someone to tell their story. Because they deserve it as human beings, whether they're addicted or not, whether he procured addicted homeless guys off the street or not. That's kind of irrelevant, because they are still people, and the people that are in these court cases and accusing these people, these powerful elite people who are brandishing murder in their faces and in all of our faces. The more we talk about it, the safer we make those people. Because at some point, the tides will turn and things will flip, and this whole murdering people thing won't be effective anymore if we keep talking about it. So share the show, or even if you don't share the show, just talk about it with people that are around you and make sure your voice is heard, so your Alexa and your Siri or your Cortana or whoever else is listening to you in your house will know that you don't believe the lies that are coming out of the mainstream media, because we've all had enough collectively. Like, this is ridiculous. We're supposed to believe that a middle-aged masseuse that happens to be an accuser of, like, legally, like, is a legal plaintiff against Kevin Spacey, magically died of natural causes, when we know that these people murder people that come out against them. We know this. This is not rocket science. It's not that hard to see. So I will see you all next week for another No Filter Friday, where hopefully I will have more LaCroix and a Weinstein, thanks to Roger. I don't know if I can get one of those in a week. Maybe. That's going to be like a bit of a project. And check out other shows on Public House Media that are not nearly as dark and twisted as this one, like Morning Motivation and Choose to Rise and all of those other fun shows on Public House Media. And I will see you all next week. Bye, 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 bye.